Hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. So this is going to be a fairly quick video covering the Kompressa Prime because, as most of you probably already know, yes, it is as insane as you think that it is. The regular Kompressa was already the best primer in the game, and of course the Kompressa Prime came along and one-upped that, and it is now the new best primer in the game. It is the primed primer, essentially. So let's go ahead and hop into that and talk about why. So, of course, it got some stat bumps across the board. It actually did technically get a huge critical chance buff. I believe the regular Kompressa only had a 6% critical chance, if I'm not mistaken, so it went up to 16%, so that is a large increase. But nobody really uses the Kompressa for a damaging build. Yes, I am aware of the Innervate setup. You can use a Innervate Blast setup, and it does allow it to hit like Tier 2, Tier 3 red crits even sometimes because of the Blast multi-hit interaction with Innervate, but the base damage, as you can see, of the Kompressa is so low that even with getting exceedingly high critical tiers, it still doesn't really do good damage. You have to buff the ever-living hell out of it with Warframe buffs like playing as a Venom Dose, Avenger, Toxic Lash, Sarin, or like Valence Formation, Lavos, things like that. Then you can kind of make it meme-y and it can kill stuff, but what most of you care about is the primer setup for the Kompressa. So if you haven't used the regular Kompressa, maybe because you didn't want to do the Vent Kids farm to get it, for example, the Kompressa Prime might be your first interaction with this weapon. This is, bar none, the best primer in the game. For those of you that don't know what a primer is a weapon where you use it to load up the enemy with multiple status effects to buff other weapons. By debuffing the enemies with those status effects, and it scales up the Galvanized mods, like Galvanized Shot, for example, or in the case of primaries, since this is a secondary, you would be using this to prime your primary. Typically, Galvanized Aptitude gives you 80% extra damage per unique status type on the target. So by applying a bunch of different status types, you're effectively multiplying rapidly and heavily the damage of your other weapon, utilizing mods like that. So it's very effective. One of the reasons, well, there's multiple reasons why the Kompressa is the best primer in the game. One, it has exceedingly high status chance. The Kompressa Prime here, let me get a new slot. The Kompressa Prime has 6% higher status chance than the regular Kompressa. The regular Kompressa had 30% per projectile. The Kompressa Prime, surprisingly, has 36%. I actually was wondering if they were really going to buff the status chance that much, or even at all. Like the Phantasma Prime, for example, got no further status chance, but the Kompressa Prime got a large buff from 30 to 36%. Now, even if that was just how it works on regular weapons, that would be really nice, but the Kompressa Prime not only went from 30 to 36% stats per projectile, but the reason why it says per projectile is because the Kompressa has a innate multi-shot of 4 instead of how most weapons only have 1. So if you add 100% multi-shot to this weapon, you're not going from 1 to 2 projectiles, you're going from 4 to 8, because 100% multi-shot in this case would be 100% of the weapon's base 4. So it has a ton of projectiles, a ton of stats chance, and it has innate viral damage. So in a case like this, where you put on basically a premier primer build, just fill it up with stats chance of different elements, we have heat, radiation, magnetic, viral, and corrosive. Now, thanks to the extra 6% stats chance, between Sure Shot giving 90 and Jolt, Pistol Pestilence, and Scorch giving a combined 180, all in all, this is 270% additional stats chance, which means that compared to putting this build on the regular Kompressa, the Kompressa Prime has basically 22% more status chance per projectile, which again, with this much multi-shot, means that you have a absolutely insane amount of status application. Let's go ahead and showcase that with some enemies here. I'm just going to literally tap the trigger and shoot one burst of bubbles, and you'll see how crazy this is. Basically, 10 heat stacks, 5 radiation, 6 magnetic, 10 viral, 10 corrosive. So almost a full stack. It was a full stack of a corrosive and a viral, and almost a full stack of magnetic along with multiple other elements. Absolutely critically insane. This is why this is incredible for priming things to like whip out your Stalta, for example, and finish them off. It gets even more insane when you throw on the secondary Encumber Arcane, which has a on status effect plus 24% chance to trigger a second random status effect. So with this, you're not only triggering heat, radiation, magnetic, viral, and corrosive, but now, as you'll see, we're also going to trigger basically every other stats type in the game. So we now have impact, slash, heat, radiation, gas, magnetic, viral, corrosive. Keep firing. Nearly 3 bars of effects. You can literally put just about every status effect in the game on them now, thanks to Encumber. So let's take a look at the Stalta's regular damage here, then I'll show you how heavily it's buffed by priming. So you can see this first guy takes forever to kill because I need to build up my galvanized stacks, whatnot, galvanized aptitude, galvanized chamber, so on, my deadhead. So that first kill took a while. The second one will be a little bit faster. And then it'll start to pick up speed here. So still not horrendously bad kill speed once you get going. But if I whip out the Kompressa, which I'll do in a moment here. Let's go ahead and hit this guy with the Kompressa. Now let's hit this guy with the Stalta. One shot kills them. So right now I'm doing, what am I doing? 22,000 a shot, 22,000, 22,000, 40,000 crit. But if I hit him with the Kompressa here, a single shot now does 646,000 damage. So also the Stalta is one of the weapons that has multiplicative scaling with galvanized aptitude, which is why priming is especially good for this weapon. So on the Stalta, for example, since this is a projectile weapon, when galvanized aptitude says plus 80% damage per unique status type, it's actually multiplying off of the base damage that Deadhead is providing as opposed to adding to it additively. So you get a huge effect from priming on this weapon. Let's go ahead and showcase that one more time. Gotta get my stacks back here. And if you want to see some truly crazy numbers, you can use the alt fire of the Stalta. Let's go ahead and do that on this guy with priming active. And boom, 15 million damage. Absolutely insane. So yeah, that's basically why people were excited that the Kompressa Prime is coming out. This is why it's the best primer in the game. Hopefully this was useful information if you didn't already know about this. I know a lot of you, of course, were already aware of how amazing the Kompressa is. The Kompressa Prime just came along, made it even better. If you don't have it, definitely grab it. All you have to do is get it from relics, so you no longer have to do the annoying K-Drive Syndicate farm if that wasn't something that you were interested in. All right, let me know down below. What do you guys think of the Kompressa Prime? Are you excited that it's here? And I'll see you in the next one.